Good morning, good morning, good morning again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we are going to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right up there in the description box. In particular, please take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC so called behavior modification program. It is an article that the JRC felt so threatened by. They have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so folks, please read that article. Get it out on all your social media. We also have linked in their public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, and I've got a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually see through of their threat. All right, trigger warnings. Trigger warning one. Folks, when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and discussing places like Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Excuse me. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is advised, all right? Okay, so where we left off. Both the center and parents and guard, this is where they talk about the parents defending the JRC. We've already kind of read this, but we'll go over it again. Their particular question is misleading and false here on a multitude of fronts, but let's bring up one in particular. The reason why it's a dishonest judgment, the basis behind undoing the FDA ban on the GED, is that the DC Circuit Court is trying to say that the SBIS and the GED are the same device. And therefore, in order for the FDA to be able to properly use their authority, they must ban all particular uses for the device. The problem here, the elephant in the room, as it were, is the fact that the SIBIS and the GED, although similar on the surface in regards to being skin shock devices when it comes to behaviors and addictions, that's where the similarities end. The GED uses far more power, literally just below the lethal limit, to provide those skin shocks. The severity of the skin shocks between the SIBIS and the GED are literally night and day. You don't hear about the SIBIS device causing third-degree burns. Okay? What's dishonest about this is the fact that the GED itself, as it has been redesigned by the JRC, is not being used or licensed to be used anywhere but at the JRC for the particular reasons that Dr. Matthew Israel designed the thing in the first place. So to use this argument to say, ban all the devices then, it makes no particular sense because these are two entirely different animals whose only similarities are on the top surface. The GED, the device that was actually banned, the only device that is in question is only used in one place for one purpose. There is no other reasons that it needs to be banned for in order for the ban to be able to remain on the books. Okay? This is why this argument should have literally been laughed out of court. We're talking about the GED device. That was the particular device that was banned. That is used in one place for one sole purpose. Okay? You see why this is false on the face of it? Why the logic isn't logicking? But let's read on with their BS analysis, shall we? The answer to the controlling issue is determined by the application of two statutes, which authorize the FDA to ban medical devices and which prohibits the FDA from regulating the practice of medicine. We begin by setting forth the relevant portion of each statute. Here's this same bullshit argument, okay? But if you refuse to let me use this device to torture this child, you're regulating medicine. You could use that as a basis to basically remove the FDA for existing as its own separate entity, if we want to play fast and loose here. If they do not have the authority to ban the GED because it's regulating the practice of medicine, then you could use an argument that the FDA should not even exist as a governing entity. Because literally all the different devices used in medical care that they regulate involves practice of medicine. So they either have the authority and the governing power to regulate or ban devices, or the FDA shouldn't exist at all because their very department has to do with it's Federal Drug, Food and Drug Administration, people. If they are regulating drugs, what are drugs used for? Medicine. So if they have the authority to govern that, but you're going to use this BS argument as a means to overturn the ban on a device that is literally providing shocks to kids as young as 5 years old at just below the lethal limit, where a taser operating off of 3 MPa is known to drop and sometimes cause heart attacks and death in a full grown 250-pound man, then why do they exist as an entity? This is their job. Okay? Jesus. Section 360F, which Congress passed in the Medical Device Amendments of 1976 to the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, grants the FDA authority to ban medical devices. The section provides whenever the Secretary finds that a device intended for human use presents substantial deception or unreasonable and substantial risk of injury, illness, or injury, and that risk cannot be corrected or eliminated by labeling, the Secretary may initiate proceeding to promulgate a regulation to make such device a banned device. There you are, right there. It says they do indeed have the authority. Okay? It says it right there. Right there. Device is a defined term within the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, meaning an instrument, apparatus, implement, machine, contrivance, implant, in vitro reagent, or other similar or related article, including any component, part, or accessory which is intended for use in the diagnosis of disease or other conditions, or in the cure, mitigation, treatment, or prevention of disease. A banned device is considered adulterated, authorizing the FDA to seize the device if it has been or may be introduced into the interstate commerce, and making it a crime to introduce the device in interstate commerce or manufacture. You know what all that says right there? That says they were 100% operating within the authority that has been invested in them. Okay? Section 396 constrains the FDA authority by prohibiting it from regulating the practice of medicine. In the Food Drug Modernization Act of 1997, Congress provided, "Nothing in this chapter shall be construed to limit or interfere with the authority of a healthcare practitioner to prescribe or administer any legally marketed device to a patient for any condition or disease within a legitimate healthcare pressure." Oh my God, you're full of shit. Seriously? So, DC Circuit Court's argument here is that if the doctor approves it, then that should be okay. And if the FDA dares to remove the device, because of very, very irrefutable evidence of the harm that it causes to those who are stuck on it, then that should just be overturned because the doctor said that torture was good. This is the logic we're operating with, folks. This is me reading in between the lines for you. Also, notice the glaring absence of any kind of mention on whether or not our consent matters. This section shall not limit any existing authority of the Secretary to establish or enforce restrictions of a device that are part of the determination of a substantial equivalence established as a condition of approval or promulgated through regulations. Let me say it again, you idiots. There is no regulations on the current GED device. It has been reviewed by no one. No one. The last device that was approved by the FDA for use was the GED-1 in the 90s. The device that they are using now at the center is not the same as the GED-1 device. It has amped up the power to stupid levels, just below the lethal limit. That device, as evidenced by the FDA's own words and the documents that we have on file, on Autistic Hoya's massive archive, the current device has not been tested or regulated by any entity whatsoever, bar none. Bye bye. See you later. Okay? Do you not understand this, DC? There has been no regulations of any kind that have been used in regards to the current GED device. There has been no FDA approval. There's been no testing. There's been no nothing. Can you wrap your brain around this? Okay? There's a lot of lie right here, isn't there? But it's been approved by the doctors, a group of practitioners. There's a human rights committee. It's all in house at the JRC. It's corrupt as hell. How can you not see this? And we're supposed to be okay with our brothers and sisters being tortured every day, shocked with these horrific devices, starved, sleep deprived, jumped, and we're just go along and allow it to happen and keep our autistic mouths shut. But the doctor said, y'all know why there is the existence of medical malpractice, don't you? We're going to close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I will see you next vid.